The young people of China are the country's most valuable natural resource, and it is a most important element in education to develop youth's responsibility toward society. In kindergartens, the children present patriotic songs and plays. They sing the praises of the nation's symbol, Chairman Mao. From very early age, the children are encouraged to participate in useful work at least half an hour every day by making small cardboard boxes or paper bags from old newspapers. Throughout their childhood, the children are always in groups. It gives them a sense of belonging. Practically every subject in school has some political content. They have many songs about China's revolution and about Chairman Mao. Since the Cultural Revolution, education has been reorganized. Political instruction and practical experience have preference over theoretical study. In French class, they learn about the French Revolution. Before the present regime in China, illiteracy was 80%. It is now reduced to 10%. Today, most schools have workshops. Here the students are putting together parts for transistor radios. They work with a local radio factory and contribute to the production. They spend half of their time in the school workshops. The secondary school students are expected to earn their keep by doing useful, productive work. Another school workshop makes chairs and desks to be sent to schools in the rural areas. They make 1,800 chairs a month in this workshop. The children get some instruction to begin with, but otherwise they have to organize the production themselves. Later, they will spend some weeks working in a factory, so the transfer from education and training to active participation in production is gradual. The students are taught not only by professional teachers, but also by local people with practical experience. Physical training and sports activity play an important role in school. Playing, dancing, and singing are popular among the young people. Here, a college orchestra is playing to accompany a group of girl students. An army officer is often in charge of sports activity at the big sports centers, where children and young people can get special instruction. Sports facilities are commonplace throughout the country. Factories, schools, and communes all have their training grounds. In China, there is no betting on sports activities. Gambling is frowned upon. Other popular sports are table tennis, badminton, basketball, running, jumping, and group gymnastics. Ice skating is a popular sport in the northern areas, where they have cold winters. The skaters and hockey players are trained here during the summer months. For this purpose, the Chinese use special roller skates. The Army is represented in the management of this sports center. Here, physical instructors are trained. China competes in many international sports events throughout Asia and Europe. All students in China must spend a year or two working in a commune in rural areas or in a factory before they complete their studies. We will follow them out into the country. Also, children from secondary and primary schools work for short periods in rural areas, especially during harvest. Even small children from kindergarten and first grade do their share. They are called Little Red Soldiers, and they give a hand in collecting leftover straws. The red emblem shows she is an organized member of the Little Red Soldiers. The children often help to clean up streets and parks in the cities. All over China, you will see youngsters moving or working in groups. The girls working here all come from schools in Peking to help the peasants at harvest time. And this is what education in China is aiming at. That people work together to get the best results for everyone. The key word is serve the people.
This was formerly swampland. Now they reported getting good production. At nearby Shinli village, they were experimenting with rice. Irrigation here was fairly advanced. These water wheels were run by a 15-horsepower motor. Many visitors come to see the experimental plot where they are working with hybrid rice seeds. They are so proud of it they even have their own cameraman. They have bamboo poles to keep the rice from trampling. Lights have been installed to keep it growing 24 hours a day. This is the rice yielding 11,000 bushels an acre. It was raining in Nanking when I arrived. The narrow streets appeared little changed, but I learned that Nanking's population had swelled from just under 1 million in 1949 to 2.5 million. Industrial expansion was behind this growth. Truck and auto parts were piled high in the yard of the Nanking auto plant. 3 years ago, this plant was making wagons. Now it is turning out trucks and a few cars. Machinery is Chinese, Czech, and Russian. They were cutting these plastic strips to be used in making small cars. This is Chaiman. He is the plant manager. 4,000 workers on a primitive assembly line. Many are women. And on the plant grounds, a small furnace was also turning out steel for parts. For the leap forward. Down the Yangtze to the Nanking Chemical Factory, where 10,000 workers turn out fertilizers and commercial chemicals. We could see the factory as we approached. Workers at this plant had built 80 small furnaces on the plant grounds. Posters with anti-American and Taiwan themes were linked with the leap forward production. This was a Buddhist temple. Within its confines is the shrine of the 10,000 Buddhas. 50 priests take care of the temple and conduct services. This priest told me that quite a few people still worship at the temple. I arrived at the Catholic Church just as Mass ended. It was the only Catholic church in the city. The priest told me that there were 200 or 300 people in the parish. The Sun Yat-sen tomb. It is Nanking's most prominent communist shrine. Rice paddies and water buffalo on the way to Shanghai. It had rained hard and the rice was beaten down. Some of the rice was green, some ready for harvest. Shanghai Bund, the famous waterfront with modern buildings. The communists have built a park along the Wangpo. Construction in the city everywhere for the leap forward. Sino-Soviet friendship building, a cultural center to further the common bond between the two communist giants. Like Peking, traffic streamed through the streets. I passed many factories. I was on my way to visit a fountain pen plant. I was greeted by the manager, Chi Fung Lu. Pens made here, called Hero, were modeled on the Parker 51. Catch up with Parker was the plant slogan. I saw many young workers and students here. This was Chung Kan-chu. He is saying, get American troops out of Taiwan. This is the Longmachongchen Commune. Here, 586 workers from 385 families cultivate about 600 acres of vegetables. Militiamen to guard the commune gates. There was some mechanization on this commune, but most of the work was done by hand. Tractors were used for deep plowing. They reported 7 to 21 crops of vegetables a year. Compost and fertilizer, both animal and human, was used in this intensive cultivation. Many kinds of vegetables were raised. They also had an experimental plot where they were trying out new irrigation. Corn was raised and used for feed. The commune reported grossing $270,000 worth of products in 1957. Poultry of all kinds was raised. Chickens near an old pillbox. Reminder of the Japanese occupation. Busy streets and busy days in central China's Tri-City area, Hankou, Xinyang, Wuchang, together called Wuhan. In the 4th district of Wuhan, a big new steel plant was under construction. When completed, it will rival Anshan. Workers swarmed on the grounds underneath wooden scaffolding. They dug and shoveled. They pounded and tamped. Ore is shipped in 60 miles by railroad. It is unloaded automatically in the plant yards. Cars are placed on a turnover. Then over she goes. Steel making went on inside the plant while construction continued outside. Their goal was 3.5 million tons of steel a year by 1961. To catch up with Britain, heavy machinery at the plant was furnished by the Soviet Union, and near the plant these new workers' apartments. "40 miles from Hankou, a new engineering college had been built on land once used for farming. Here, 7,500 students were taught steelmaking and mechanical and electrical engineering, following communist policy of learning and labor. Classrooms are run like factory shops, and under the leap forward, students built lathes and electric motors. Students are also sent to villages to help with technical problems. Purpose of all education in communist China is to build socialism." The Wuhan meat processing plant, also built with Soviet help. Hogs are shipped to this plant from Hubei province, killed with electric shock. 3,000 workers use up-to-date equipment.
The former villa of a white Russian has been converted into a sanatorium for workers. Hartbein is a city in which many old buildings are preserved. A scene of the great proletarian cultural revolution encountered in Hartbein. People reading wall newspapers. Anyone can write down his opinion and paste it on the wall. The Central Committee of the Chinese Communist Party appeals to the people. The appeal says, "The great proletarian cultural revolution is a great revolution that touches people to their very souls and constitutes a new stage in the development of the socialist revolution in our country, a deeper and more extensive stage. Although the bourgeoisie has been overthrown, it is still trying to use the old ideas, culture, customs, and habits of the exploiting classes to corrupt the masses, capture their minds, and endeavor to stage a comeback. The proletariat must do just the opposite. It must meet head-on every challenge of the bourgeoisie in the ideological field and use the new ideas, culture, customs, and habits of the proletariat to change the mental outlook of the whole society." This demonstration of workers and young people is meant to welcome this appeal. It was at the beginning of this summer that the news of Chairman Mao swimming across the Yangtze River was reported. Some years earlier, Chairman Mao had said, "People say that the Yangtze is a very big river. Actually, there is nothing to be afraid of about its size.